video, and if you're new to our channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe and like this video so that you can get different notifications as we put videos up. So today's topic is the books that I've read throughout the years that have been super helpful, that have encouraged me and really helped me to thrive and succeed in this homeschool journey. So I wanted to go over them and share them with you today. So the first book is For the Children's Sake by Susan Schaefer Macaulay, and this is a Charlotte Mason based book. It goes over the philosophy and how Charlotte Mason, the different things that Charlotte Mason emphasizes that are important in education for children. So I highly recommend this book if you're interested in the Charlotte Mason approach. And this actually came as part of our curriculum at the time, My Father's World Kindergarten, and it was very, very, very helpful. And as you can see, it's a short read. It's about 161 pages, so you can probably read this over a weekend. And if your husband is also interested in learning about Charlotte Mason or just what you're incorporating and what you're learning about, you can go ahead and also give this to him. So I'll put the link to this book at the bottom of this video. The second book that I read at that time was Anything and Everything by John Taylor Gatto. So John Taylor Gatto was a New York City public school teacher for 30 years. He was actually Teacher of the Year, and he's a huge proponent of homeschooling overall. He doesn't really have, he's never really openly encouraged a certain approach, but he's written prolifically about it, and he also has a video series called The Greatest History Lesson Ever Told. And it's a 5-part series. It's pretty extensive, but it's a great way to see him speaking and really talking about why he feels so strongly about homeschooling and just educational advocacy and change. So I'll link that at the bottom if you're interested in watching that with your husband or your family. If you're just starting homeschooling, I highly recommend that. So in this book, he goes over all of the things, all the pitfalls and all of the negative things that he saw in the educational system while he was teaching. So it was a great book. I actually checked this out from the library, and it was super overdue, so I ended up buying it. But as you can see, it's also a short read. He has other books also, so I'll link his website at the bottom, and it's about 226 pages. So I highly recommend Anything and Everything by him. Then the third book that I read that first year of homeschooling, and maybe into my second, was Educating the Wholehearted Child by Clay Clarkson with Sally Clarkson. And they are veteran homeschoolers, and they've written a bunch of books, and this one goes over how to use whole books, real life, and it does have a Christian perspective of how to approach home education from ages 4 to 14. So I really enjoyed this book. As you can see, it's very extensive. They provide a lot of resources, a lot of practical advice, and they go over just everything that they did and that they've seen that has really helped them bring up their children. And what I really liked was that in the beginning of the book, it went over how to answer critics or how to answer common questions that we get as homeschoolers when we mention either at the doctor's office or in other mainstream areas like activities that we homeschool. So for instance, they go over socialization and other different questions, and I found it very beneficial to take pictures of those pages, having them with me, and if I had that question come up with either the pediatrician, naturopath, or in any other space, I would just show it to the person and read it. That way, if you don't feel comfortable answering something, which sometimes you might, but at other times you just might be off guard, or you just rather just send it to someone, you can go ahead and do that too. So I think that's a great way to really help you become more confident that first year and avoid some of the pitfalls that we sometimes have to experience with people that just don't get our lifestyle. So that's book number 3. The fourth book is, let's see, Teaching from Rest by Sarah Mackenzie, and I really, really loved this book. It's a homeschooler's guide to unshakable peace and really connecting to how to approach your homeschool from a restful place. And this was at the beginning of my mindfulness journey and really becoming more of a peaceful parent and feeling more unrushed. And the philosophy that they go over in this book is the Shoal philosophy, and I'll link that at the bottom of this post. So I really loved this book. It was extremely short. I read this, I think, in a day or two, but it was just so refreshing. It was like drinking a glass of really cold water that you needed being parched for a while. And this really revolutionized and changed the way that I started to homeschool, along with my mindfulness journey in my personal space. So I highly recommend this book if you find yourself being very overwhelmed or feeling just like the walls are closing in and there's just too much going on. This book will really help realign you to what really matters. Okay, so now book number 4 is Dyslexia 101 by Marion Sunderland. And Marion is a homeschooling mom of several children, and she's had lots of experience with dyslexia and different kinds of dyslexia, and ranges and degrees with her kids. And there was a time where I was suspecting that my children might be dyslexic, and so I was looking for a book that really spoke from the homeschooling approach and really gave resources that would work for the homeschooling space, and I found all of that in this book. She also provides a lot of technical information and just regular resources that would be helpful to any parent, so I highly recommend that. And even if you have other conditions, like for instance APD, CAPD, which is Central Auditory Processing Disorder, or other conditions that might emulate a little bit dyslexia, these resources and this book would be helpful in that walk also. So I highly recommend it. And yeah, so it's a little thicker. This one is about 213 pages, so this will probably take you about a week or more to get through. Okay, so now we have 2, 3, 4, 5, book number 6. And if you've been following me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, you've probably seen this book already. If you're not following me over there, please do. I do daily updates, and I give glimpses into our homeschool, our vegan journey, and different things that I'm reading. Every Wednesday is what I'm reading, or almost every Wednesday. So this is one of the books that I read last month, or this month. And I absolutely loved it because we do have sensory issues in our home and in our family. I'm actually a sensory adult, so a lot of the things that I experience on a day-to-day that really provide nervous system issues for me, like very bright light, this book provides lots of ideas and sensory information to really help you as an adult if you have sensory issues, or if you're raising a child that has sensory issues. Now, it also provides suggestions on how to create your own sensory diet, which is really great because not all neurologists or occupational therapists are certified or knowledgeable of how to create a sensory diet. So if you're in that same situation, this book is great until you find the right person, or to just kind of create your own according to what your children's evolving needs are. So I highly recommend this book. It's very technical, it's very detailed. As you can see, it has really small print, but it has so much information. It's just so well written, so good. So I highly recommend it. And we all have sensory needs, so even if you don't have a child that's neurologically atypical, but if they are neurotypical, they still have sensory needs. And it's so important that we integrate our sensory systems, because our modern lifestyle just is not supporting that. So as we become more modernized and we kind of disconnect from the things that helped our neurological system integrate really well, neurological and sensory things are going to become more and more prevalent. So I just recommend this even as a parent. This is just a great way to just make sure that you're giving your child everything that they need for their sensory. So I recommend that one, and that one's by Sharon Heller. The last book that I've read recently is Free to Learn by Peter Gray. I love Peter Gray. I've been following him for a really long time. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, I'm an IELTS psychologist. He, I believe, is a clinical psychologist based out of Boston, and he writes profusively for Psychology Today. He's written so many wonderful articles, and I've bookmarked them, and I'll link some of them at the bottom. So I was so excited when I saw that he produced this book. He's more of a supporter for relaxed homeschooling and unschooling. So if you're more of a traditional homeschooler or a classical homeschooler, you probably won't find this resonating with you much. However, he does provide tons of research and information into Native groups and indigenous, more ethnocentric research, which is some of the things that I used to do when I was working in industry. So I was really I loved that part because it really showed how we used to raise our young, and how it was so intuitive, and how that really helped prepare them for the real world. So I love that he shows those case studies, and then we can really draw from them and help incorporate that into our homeschooling or into our parenting life, and I just found it wonderful. He also provides suggestions on how to find the right educational model if you want to provide a more freedom-based, autonomous kind of educational model. He does provide suggestions on that, and he actually was able to get his child into a school in Boston that was in that kind of framework. So they are very sparse and seldom, but if you're a person that is in the situation where you can no longer homeschool, or you know for a fact that you can homeschool but you love everything that homeschooling has to offer and you still want to give that to your child, I highly recommend reading those chapters, and that'll really provide you with some solutions. So I highly recommend this one. And that is it. So that's what I've read so far. If I think of any other books that might be helpful, I'll create another video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it. Leave me a comment below if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you may want me to review or to talk about. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.